Hi, everybody. It's Jennifer O'Toole, and I want to welcome you to episode 10 of Speaking Geek. You might be wondering, I feel like I have to say this a lot, like, oh, I'm sorry for a little bit of a gap. There was a little bit of a gap between the last recording and this one. It was my birthday, which sounds like that should be a great reason, right? Yeah, no, except for the fact that at the end of my birthday, I walked into a dark room and didn't notice there was a hamper there and managed to fall over it, do some fabulous acrobatics, and clunk my head on the side of a dresser and ended up with a concussion. So, needless to say, I was on a don't look at a screen, stay in bed, blah, blah, blah protocol, which doesn't make recording a YouTube series or a podcast very easy. So, I'm back. And we're back. And what I wanted to do was, for this episode, I'm actually going to start. This episode's probably we're gonna leak into next week's because the topic is really important, and it's one that I know I've been spending a lot of time on lately, and it seems like, I'm not alone in that. So I actually just got back yesterday from Omaha, Nebraska, where I got to speak to a whole, couple hundred people. It was wonderful. And what I loved maybe the most of the whole experience was that there were actually a couple of teens and 20-somethings who either came and told me themselves, or family members told me that when other people in the house wanted to watch a movie or whatever, or TV, that their teen or 20-something was like, no, actually, I'm going to go watch the autism show, which is basically what they meant was Speaking Geek. And there's this one guy, and you'll have to forgive me that I can't remember your name now, but he was just so cool. He was in his 20s, and he said to me, you just, thank you so much. You have no idea what this means. And it's just so important. And you know what? The thing is, that's the way the world works, is like, golly, sometimes when you really need to hear it, I really needed to hear that. And I said that to him, like, you have no idea how much that meant to me that you said that. So thank you. People, I challenge you. When something's good, even if it's a little something, like you really like the latte you just got at Starbucks, say thank you. You'd be surprised how many people really just need a little extra lift in their day. And I sure did. And it meant a lot. So that being all said, what are we going to talk about this week that's so important that it's going to have to leak into another week? Well, it's something that I see so very many of us deal with. That is dignity. Right. I say that word and all I can think of is the cheesy, Greatest Love of All song from The Bodyguard, like when I was a kid or whatever, but learning to love yourself. Oh, that's not from The Bodyguard. That's just Whitney Houston. All right, whatever. It doesn't matter. Learning to love yourself, that is the greatest love of all, blah, blah. You can't take away my dignity, she says. Okay, see, that's the point where I'm going. Imagine this, the ADD girl, a little scattered. Okay, got a question for you. Most of us at some point have been bullied. That's probably true for most people, but it's sure true for those of us on the spectrum because, face it, when you look the same as everybody else, but on the inside, things are a little bit different, it's not always so simple. So I have a question for you. Knowing that probably you have, like I have been, bullied, here's my question for you. What do you think of bullies? And are you a bully? Most people would be pretty quick, I think, amongst our group to say, no, of course I'm not a bully. Really? Because here's my question. You are the only person who is inside your head all the time, right? So you hear lots of voices and sounds all day long, but the one that you hear all the time is yours. So when you think about yourself, when you talk to yourself, whether it's checking your email, whether it's being online, whether it's before you go out the door and looking in the mirror, whatever, trying to go to sleep, not being able to, what are you saying to yourself? And if you were to say those things to somebody else, would you be considered a bully? Because I think that's true for a lot of us. I think that we don't think that we're bullies But if we listen to the way we actually speak to ourselves, oh yeah, we are. Oh yeah, we are. So here's the first thing. We're all sort of walking around with old dialogue, CDs running around playing in our heads. Little snippets that we've heard, that we've overheard, that have been said right to our faces, or that we just think that we're getting from the people around us. The deal with dignity is having dignity. It's different than pride. Pride is momentary. Pride is something that comes when you've taken a risk and you've put yourself out there and you've tried something, maybe something that was intimidating to you, scary to you, that you didn't think you would do that well, or just were unfamiliar with, but you did it. That's pride. I always say to somebody if they have a new accomplishment or whatever, I'm proud of you. I'm happy for you that it went well the way you wanted, but I'm not proud of you for that. I'm proud of you for trying and putting your mind to something. But see, pride is fragile. It's like, it's a moment. It's a single success or a single, triumph, a single accomplishment. It's fragile. It's short-lived. It's very, very different than dignity. Dignity is not fragile. Dignity is also not something that can be lost like pride. It's not fragile and it can't be stolen. It can't be robbed no matter what happens to you. It can't be. It can only be forgotten by you. And I don't know about you, but I think that sometimes we look to pride as a way to satisfy what's really a lack in our own dignity, because we're forgetting to own up to what we actually are, which is something and someone worthwhile. And when that tank feels a little low there, I think sometimes we substitute in pride. So I want to challenge you to think about not what you're proud of, but what makes you, dignified. What it really means is that you will not participate in anything, any relationship, no matter how much you care about someone, no matter how much you care about something, you will not participate in any relationship or situation that is not treating you with kindness and respect. That's a biggie. And I want you to hear it one more time. Having dignity means that you will not cooperate with anything or anyone that makes you feel embarrassed, shamed, less than. When that's really hard is when you value the opinion of the person who's saying it or acting in a certain way. And so you give what they say or how they act a lot of credence, a lot of credit. There's a difference, though, between giving constructive feedback in a way that's loving and caring and making you feel embarrassed, humiliated, like you're having to ask too hard for love. And that doesn't mean you're unhealthy. Please don't let that be thrown on you either. That's some more fake junk. All you want is to have your dignity respected. But the deal is they're not going to respect it until you do. And so that doesn't mean going around and shooting down everybody else and saying, oh, blah, 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 blah. No. It means stepping back and saying, okay, here's the deal. I'm going to remember that simply by being here, I'm worthwhile. I'm going to remember that I refuse to bully myself, that I I'm not going to say anything to myself that I wouldn't say to somebody else. Otherwise, you're participating in what the world does when they do you wrong. You're bullying yourself. You're mistreating yourself. And you really do have to ask yourself, what do you think about in your internal dialogue? What's the conversation you're having in your head? Again, you're the only one that's in there 24/7. So here's the deal. If your tapes, your dialogues in there are saying you're bad, you're unworthy of love, you're too hard to love, you're too difficult to be in a relationship with, you ask too much, you want too little, you stay too far, whatever the two is. Look, I'm not saying that we don't all have room to grow, because Lord knows I sure do. But room to grow is different than, and so I want nothing to do with you, right? Or isolation, withdrawal, shaming you, humiliating you, ignoring you. Those are all forms of power and control and manipulation that are absolutely unacceptable because they refuse to acknowledge the dignity of your person. And the thing is, negative self-talk, just like the negative junk out there, it's almost always untrue. And again, I'm not talking about someone saying to you, I really care about you, and I really care about our friendship or our relationship or whatever. This is bothering me. Can we talk about it? You know what? That's something I would value. I love that. That says I care about you and us, and I wanna figure this out. That's cool. But layers of insults, whether they're present or they're old, when they're up there, they're 24/7, and they are one big, nasty jumble of misunderstandings and assumptions and exaggerations that you just don't deserve. And the reality is that we teach the world how to treat us. And so if we allow everybody else's cruelty, manipulation, control, unkindness to be what lives in here, then we are teaching the world they should keep treating us that way. Because if we aren't going to hold precious and hold true our own dignity, well, why should anyone else? Why would anyone else? Now, here's the deal. It's a lot easier said than done to, okay, I'm going to go change how I feel about everything right now. I'm going to tell myself I'm super de-duper. No. I'm not telling you, it's not about getting arrogant and being prideful or thinking, there's nothing about me to change. No, that's not it either. It's recognizing that even while you have things to do to grow, because we're all always growing, that's healthy. That's healthy. That doesn't mean if you have things that you want to fix or should fix or about yourself, cool. That means you're still alive. Good. That doesn't mean that you're unworthy or you're too much. So here's the thing I want you to start thinking about, because we're going to change those thoughts. We're going to enter the counter thought. It's kind of like the, I don't know, the black to the white or whatever. It's the dog to the cat, or I don't know. It's the Batman to the Joker. Who knows? Okay, here's the thing. Usually I tell you that the way people work is think, feel, do. Okay? And that's true. But before you can get at your do's, the way you behave, before you can get at your feelings, you got to start with the thoughts. And those self-defeating thoughts, that's what we're going to just end with today. What do I mean by that? Okay, here's what I want you to think of. I want you to identify a specific moment. Okay? We're going to call this the hot moment. I want you to identify a specific moment, event, when you experienced a really strong negative emotion, be it rejection, humiliation, depression, embarrassment, whatever it is, okay? The specific moment. Just one. There's no right, there's no wrong, just pick one. But here's what you do. Somewhere that's private to you. I actually want you to do this. Like, don't just say, yeah, that's a great idea. Don't do this. Record the situation. It can be bullet points. That doesn't have to be a paragraph or anything like that. Don't care. But do it in the way a video camera would. And what I mean by that is, I don't want you to include how you were feeling. I don't want you to include how someone else was feeling because you don't really know that for sure. Don't include the tone of voice that you perceived. Don't include anything but facts. This was said, this happened, this did not happen. I had expected this happened instead. I want facts. That's it. No frills. Think of that. It's before my time, but just the facts, ma'am, right? Like that's what I want. It's a camera, it's watching, it cannot record anybody's, there's no omniscience here, right? It's not in there, it's not in anybody's head, including yours. It is simply the facts of that moment. And then, after you've gotten the hot moment and what the facts were, the description of the event, what we're going to next talk about next week are the consequences. In other words, the feelings and the behaviors that happen as a result. And why are we doing all this? Don't skip ahead, by the way. We're doing this because I want to help you reclaim your dignity. And to allow you, sometimes we're told we sound kind of arrogant when we talk about ourselves a lot. And that's usually because that's how we're relating to the world. It's not because we're meaning to be arrogant. But I think oftentimes it's also the way we substitute, like I said, for a lack of dignity, for a loss of forgotten dignity. And you know what? I've kind of been there lately myself. So we're going to do this together. Come up with your hot moment. What were you expecting? What happened? What didn't happen? What was going on around? But no commentary. Got it? No adjectives. Just action. Nouns and verbs. That's all I want. All right? And then next week, we're going to move into how can we use that to reclaim the dignity that you're going to hold right here in your heart, and you're going to reteach the world how to treat you. Thanks so much for listening to Speaking Geek. Please keep the comments, the emails, the notes, please keep them coming. And please remember that you are incredibly special and absolutely on purpose. And I'm awfully glad that you stopped by because maybe, I don't know, I've been beating myself up a little bit too. Funny how, people think once you've accomplished something, you're not a human anymore. No. So go be you right now before you forget it. Hot topic, hot moment rather, hot event. What happened? And let's see if we can't reclaim that fabulous you. Bye, everyone. Talk to you next week. And don't forget, there's all sorts of awesome resources right now waiting for you. Downloads, everything on asperkids.com. Get over there. I'm waiting. Bye. Have a great week.